Hello everyone, welcome to Court with Krissy. Something tells me they're not from around here, and we're a long ways away from Sweet Home Alabama. I hope you like it. Court with Krissy is now in session.
Your Honor, the breakout room session is done.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Trush, have you had an adequate opportunity to discuss the matter with Mr. Wilson?
I did, Your Honor. I have a few more questions for him that
All right.
I think hopefully will get us where we need to go.
Good. Let me recall that matter then. This is the State of Michigan versus Devin Wilson, file 25-43717-FY. We've returned from the breakout room with Mr. Trush and Mr. Wilson back present with us. Mr. Trush, do you have some additional questions that you'd like to ask your client?
I do. So, Mr. Wilson, you remember I asked you a question about a reasonable person being in fear?
Yes, sir.
And the judge asked you a question about if Callie was in fear at that time.
Yes, sir.
Do you recall observing Callie doing something that would indicate to you that she was in fear?
Yes, sir. Crying.
Okay. And that would indicate to you that she was in fear during that argument?
Yes, sir.
Judge,
All right.
I think that gets us where we're going.
All right. Mr. Fortier, any additional questions as to the factual basis?
No, Your Honor.
Are either counsel aware of any other promises, threats, or inducements not stated on the record?
No, Your Honor.
I'm aware of none, Your Honor.
Do either counsel are either counsel, excuse me, let me ask it this way, are both counsel in agreement that I've met the requirements of the plea taking court rule?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. All right, I do accept the plea to count two. Count two is domestic violence. I do believe that there was an assault made upon Callie Brooke Jenkins by the use of the presence of the weapon that caused her to cry during an argument with the defendant. And he was able to observe that and kept arguing with her. So I believe that there is a proper factual basis that it occurred on May the 10th of 26 in the county of Otsego. I believe he's also given me a knowing, intelligent, voluntary plea. So I will accept the plea. Ms. Jenkins, are you still with us?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Fortier, do you want to proceed today towards sentencing, or would you prefer to do that at a later date?
I mean, the victim's here. I don't know if the court would want this particular defendant lives out of state. My recollection from the last time he was in court, he mentioned that he was here doing storm damage cleanup. So I don't know if the court would want any sort of PSI or if the court's intending to place him on probation.
Well,
So
I
I
haven't
mean, given
decided
the
all
fact
those
that
things yet.
Ms. Jenkins is here, I mean, it's up to the court if it wants to move forward.
Mr. Truce, do you intend to move forward with sentencing today?
Your Honor, I would ask the court to consider moving forward with sentencing. Ultimately, my hope is that the court is going to impose a probationary sentence here. Mr. Wilson is from Alabama, and ultimately he does have a child in Alabama who his mother is watching. That he very much would like to get home to his child. I don't see anything objectively here that suggests it should be anything other than a probationary sentence. So I would ask the court to go forward.
All right, Ms. Jenkins, you have the right at sentencing to not only appear, but to make a statement to the court. Now, you can do that in writing if you wish, or you can make that via a statement. Are you comfortable proceeding today, or do you want some time to wait until another day?
I'm comfortable.
All right. Under those circumstances, then I'll hear from the prosecutor any comments that he has. Then I'll hear from the victim, and then I'll hear from Mr. Truce, and then finally I'll hear from Mr. Wilson if he has any comments that he wishes to make. So Mr. Fortier, as to allocution, go ahead.
Your Honor, I would just ask the court to keep in its decision-making process here that there was a firearm that was involved. I know the initial allegation was that there was a handgun that was pulled on Miss Jenkins, placed inches from her face. I'm sure that the court will probably receive differing information on whether or not that's actually the case, but I mean, he did admit during his plea taking that he had a firearm, at least during this argument. Things could have gotten way out of hand. Thankfully, they did not. Um, so I think just based on the circumstances, I would leave sentencing up to the court's discretion. The main thing that I would ask is that, one, the court not entertain any sort of deferral request, should one be made, which I don't think it will. But then number two, that the court forfeits and condemns the firearm that was collected in this case.
All right, thank you. Ms. Jenkins, this is your opportunity to make a statement. If you do that, I'd like to see you, if possible, on the video so I can pay attention better while you're making your statement. So this is your opportunity. Go ahead if you'd like.
There was, hold on, I'm trying to fix my video. The firearm was never pulled on me or put to my face or anything. I was never in fear of the firearm itself. I know that he has a firearm. I live with him, and so of course I know, but I was not in fear of the firearm. We were having an argument, and it did kind of get out of hand, but there was no physical assault or there was no firearm pulled on me.
Okay. What were you feeling at the time?
I was upset and a little scared because we were arguing, and we were all emotional because we're hours away from home. We've been at work for like a week straight, and that's basically it.
All right. What's the extent of your relationship with Mr. Wilson?
That's my boyfriend.
Okay.
But I do live with him back home. So I have a question, if we could get the no contact dropped.
Have you talked with anybody about the circumstances surrounding this case? Have you talked with anybody from the Women's Resource Center or any counselors or any therapists?
I have talked to her, but like I told her, like it wasn't that serious of an issue. It was just an argument that got out of hand.
Well, typically when the police get called and there's concerns about weapons in a case, it's a little more than just an argument, and getting out of hand is why we're here in court.
Yeah, I did not call the police, and I told the police that it was just a disagreement. My sister is the one who called the police, and she stretched it because she thought that if she did that, I would take her home when we still had till like I think the 13th until they were off so we could go home.
All right. I'll address no contact in a minute. Anything else that you want to talk to me about, Ms. Jenkins?
No, sir.
All right. Mr. Trush, your allocution.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is a true first offense situation for Mr. Wilson. He's never been in trouble up to this point in his life. I think Miss Jenkins' comments about kind of the circumstances that led to this, them being up here for storm cleanup, away from home, outside of their normal environment, probably working a lot of sort of extra hours without their normal supports in place, I think contributed to this. I don't believe this is in Mr. Wilson's sort of normal nature, so to speak. When I spoke to him, he indicated to me he has a daughter at home. His daughter is 6 years old. We had some fairly lengthy conversations about, he doesn't want these kind of behaviors to be patterned for his daughter, right? He doesn't want her to grow up seeing that or thinking that that is an appropriate way to treat someone. Uh, and he's astutely aware, his daughter's going to watch what he does. And that's going to impact how, what she thinks is appropriate and how she thinks she should be treated. I think it is a fair assessment of this that it's an argument that got out of hand. From reading the police reports, there is a considerable amount of disagreement among the parties. Again, exactly what happened with that firearm. There are parties that said that it was pulled. There are parties that said that it was not pulled. There's not consistency there. So, I mean, ultimately, I would suggest to the court not applying the deferral is sort of in and of itself a measure of punishment. Forfeiting the firearm is a punishment. And I think a term of probation with some counseling is an appropriate way to address it. Um, I think Mr. Wilson would probably accept and acknowledge that some counseling would be a good idea for him to help him, to maybe manage some of those emotions or stressors that he has. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Wilson, you also have the right to make a statement to me if you wish. You're not required to do that, but I'm happy to listen to anything that you want to tell me about your circumstances and the facts of this case. This is your opportunity, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I've been away. I left home the 29th. I've been up here since then. I haven't seen my daughter, and I've raised her ever since she was born at the hospital by myself. And I know that pretty much was all uncalled for. We had just been, man, 4 people in a little bitty hotel room for a week and a half straight. There's gonna be tension, brother. You see what I'm saying? It just, I should have took a breather, went away, or took a time out or something. We was just all cooped up in that room together every day. I don't know, man.
All right. Mr. Wilson, you came up here for storm work, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So you knew it coming into this that you were going to be up here for quite a while, didn't you?
Yes, sir. And I tried to explain that to her sister too before we left my house coming up here.
Well, all right. Anything else that you want to tell me?
No, sir, not at this time.
Do you have a specific time upon which you'll be going back to the state of Alabama?
As soon as you can allow me, sir. I've been away from my daughter since the 29th. Her birthday was May 1st. It's the first birthday I ever missed of hers.
Well, but you knew that coming up here too, right? You knew you were coming up for
Yes,
a
sir.
while and you're probably going to miss her
Yes, sir. I was
birthday.
coming up for it was 2 weeks, supposed to be 2 weeks at first in around Gaylord, and then we was gonna move to up northern Michigan. And then I'm pretty sure we was gonna go to Iowa and some other states too. My boss works everywhere, all over the United States.
Well, then you knew all of that ahead of time before you left your daughter. So I don't know that your daughter's got a whole lot of connection to this case for me. I understand what you're
Yes,
saying
sir.
to me. You
I'm
miss
the
her,
only. Yes, sir. I'm the only
but
one.
you left her.
I'm the one that raises her. I've raised her ever since she was born, and my mama
But
has her right now. She's had her since the 29th.
all right. But you made a decision to leave her to come on up here and do some work. And it sounds to
Yes,
me like
sir.
you intended to be away for quite some period of time. So, all right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put you on probation for 90 days. It's going to cost you $90 in probation fees. There's going to be a crime victim fee of $75, justice assessment of $50, court costs of $200, $100 fine, and $15 in a local charge. That's $530. You pay that over your probation time.
Yes, sir.
I am going to require you to enroll in anger management counseling. And here's what I'm going to say about the no contact order.
Yes, sir.
I need a letter either from your counselor or from the Women's Resource Center, which Ms. Jenkins can go to, recommending contact.
Yes, sir.
Once that's given, I'll give the probation can allow contact.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, while you're on probation, no assaultive, abusive, intimidating, or threatening behavior. I'm not going to throw you in jail. I'm not going to require you to do work camp because I believe that you're working full time. And I'm not doing jail because you have lost your firearm, which I will order this as well.
And Judge, for the record, that firearm is described as a Glock 19 Gen 5 with the serial number CC B as in boy, M as in Mike, 285.
Glock 19 Generation 5, serial number CZBM285.
No, CC, Charlie Charlie.
All right, thank you. CCBM285. All right. All right, Mr. Wilson, do you have any questions about the court's order?
No, sir. Oh, yes,
If
sir,
you-
I do.
Go ahead.
All right. On my, are you terminating my gun rights and all, or are you just taking my gun?
I'm just taking the gun. I'm not
So I can-
affecting your gun rights. I don't know what the state of Alabama, what their rules are. And so all I can say is right now, you're going to be convicted of domestic violence and I'm taking your gun, but I'm not for the state of Michigan. I'm not doing anything else.
Yes, sir.
I don't know what Alabama is going to do with that, or if anything. So you'll have to check down once you get back down there with that. So if you successfully complete or if you get everything done earlier than 90 days, the probation department always has the ability to let you off early. So if you need to travel, you need to go someplace, your business is leaving the area.
Oh, my boss fired me.
All right, whatever you're doing, then you got to get this done before you can go anyplace else, though. So get this done as quickly as possible. Get the letters that you need from your counselor, and so you can have contact with Ms. Jenkins in the future. Pay your fines and costs off, and then you can be done with us. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right, that's all for today. Then, thank you.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
Am I allowed to return home?
Not without the court's permission ahead of time. Right
Yes,
now,
sir.
you've got stuff. Right now, you got stuff to do here before you leave to go home. So
Yes, sir. One more thing,
you-
like I have no source of income up here at all. My boss terminated me, and I don't have no more money for a hotel. Like I'm gonna be on the streets around Gaylord.
that sounds like something you need to talk with your attorney about.
Devin, give me a call. We'll talk about it.
Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.